I may not have made it apparent enough in this video or this video here, but I really like Houjin Yatsurugi. Anyone who's known me for long enough on the internet knows that I shill the fuck out of this show, but I don't think I've ever quite explained why that is. So, to compensate for that thing that I just didn't do, I want to provide an introduction to what has turned out to be my favourite tokusatsu franchise of all time. You probably wouldn't think that considering the main concept of my channel is Ultraman, but it's true, I like this more than this, so you can deal with that however you see fit. But for now, here's a brief introduction to why I think this show is really good, why you should watch it, and yeah, that's all the content that's going to be in this, so have fun. This will not be a proper review of this show in any capacity, as I say, it will just only be a brief tease, a little taster for you to go out and see if you like this show on actually watching it yourself, because there's quite a bit to get through, as you'll see coming up, and I don't want to bore you for too long. But before we get into the show itself, here's a bit of background. Houjin Yatsurugi is the first local hero series created in 2011 by Yatsurugi Damashii. I know that local heroes aren't exactly the most well-known sector of toku, so if you're going to take at least one thing out of this video, local heroes are indie toku series made by a small company with a significantly lower budget than the likes of, say, Rider or Ultraman. Usually made to be the representation or embodiment of the town or prefecture it was created in. They're a great look into the culture and individual natures of each of these areas, although having them be quote-unquote mascots of their towns is not always the case. For example, the Yatsurugi series is a local hero production made for the city of Kisarazu in Chiba Prefecture. Calling the IP a series nowadays would be doing it a disservice, as the brand has expanded outwards greatly since then. How much are we talking? Well, 9 full-length seasons, 5 guidance, some of which are multi-parters, a full-length movie, a spin-off movie, too many stage shows to count, advertising collaborations and crossovers galore with other local hero properties. Yeah. Looking at this, you'll probably be a little overwhelmed and wondering where to begin, but don't you fret, my duckies, I got you. That's kinda why this video exists in the first place, if you can believe it. Note how earlier I said that this show is the first one the company made, as since then Yatsurugi Damashii has been shooting out show after show after show for the last 10 odd years, and it's actually unreal how many properties and individual heroes this independent company has produced. But for the sake of staying on topic, I'm only going to bring up those other projects if they become relevant. No matter how much I want to go on a 23-minute long tangent about the greatness of Hero no Great, I'll do my best to refrain from doing so. Oh, and one last thing. Since this is only an introduction, I'll only be going slightly in-depth to Season 1, and only touching upon things that happen afterwards in other shows and films, and I'll be as spoiler-free as possible, just so if you decide you want to, watch the show, which, you better after watching this video, then you can do so with a knowledge of just what you're getting into, but nothing really spoilery or whatever. Okay? Does that sound good? I mean, it better be, because that's what's going to happen and you can't stop me. The first season of Yatsurugi stars one Takeru Yamato, and anyone who knows anything about Japanese cultural mythology just rolled their eyes and went, what a boring and unoriginal name. But trust me, it works. After finding an ancient stone, he merges with the prophesized Houjin Yatsurugi, and the season follows his quest to find and reclaim the 8 swords of sealing that have been scattered across Kisarazu, as they do every 30 years. With the help of his friend Mari Tachibana, her grandfather Genji, the local shrine's priest, and this fella whose name escapes me right now, but he owns an ice cream store and, oh yeah, just is casually the previous Yatsurugi used, so he knows a thing or two. That's not really a spoiler since they gave that info away, like, super early on. Oh yeah, there's also this kid too who shows up later. However, this will be somewhat complicated with the emergence of the undersea empire of Zaboon, who wish to take the swords for themselves to unleash their ruler onto the world. This plot summary is really putting it super simply. Trust me, there is much more to this. For instance, the character dynamics. While nothing groundbreaking or anything, my god, these characters are fun. Each one of them isn't wasted. except you, but frankly I don't care, and are all helpful towards the ultimate goal. Plus, there are some great interactions between them. Not to mention, the show doesn't stray away from the smaller character development arcs. But when talking about characters though, I can't just not talk about my legitimately favourite tokusatsu character of all time, thinkll. This lad right here is the actual best. Like, if you watch this show and don't agree, you are just genuinely wrong. And Yatsudama knows that he's the best, because he has his own 2-part Gaiden, so you cannot argue with fact. thinkll is best boy. The pacing for me is really nice. The season is 12 episodes long, and not a single one of them is wasted or is filler. Everything done is relevant, making it stray away from the trappings of more major toku with longer lengths. Speaking of which, the show's shorter length also works for its benefit, being much easier to finish sooner, while still being a well-paced story with some twists and turns that, while admittedly somewhat predictable, the way they are set up and executed is definitely not how you'd think, leading to some deep insight on one of the characters. For being a 10-year-old independent tokusatsu, this show's effects are superb. While of course not being on the level of Super Pro or Toei, you cannot look at this transformation scene and tell me that it doesn't look good. This even transfers over to the action and fight scenes, and oh boy do they deliver. For having all of the fights take place with no green screen in sight, the wireworks, added effects and fight choreography are as good as you could possibly imagine them being given the lower budget, and they look genuinely great. Taking advantage of the location they take place in is a key selling point for me personally. Yatsurugi's suit is just gorgeous, and while the suits of the Zaboon creatures are comparatively cheaper than its contemporaries, and the influence from Showa Rider is more than a little apparent, I think they still hold up, again given the context, with them only improving from Season 1 onwards. Likewise, the music and score for the season is great, the standout being the opening theme, which I honestly don't know if I should really count because it's a licensed song, but whatever, it's still a banger. Oh, and it has talking raccoon statues, which is, you know, always a win. I'm purposefully being vague here and not mentioning some major things that happen, like how Yatsurugi may not be the only hero present, and specifics on episode content, because, well, if you're interested in the show from what I've told you so far, then I wouldn't want to kill the surprise for you. I'm trying my damnedest here not to go into spoilers, give me a break. In saying that though, that was just Season 1 of the show, so what happens afterwards? Season 2 follows on some time after Season 1, with a new Legion of Doom ready to take the swords, which have been prematurely scattered once again. Because of this, Best Boy thinkll and the rest of the Zaboon Empire are forced awake too, leading to a 3-way battle for the 8 swords. A nice expansion to the already established premise of Season 1. Then Season 3 happens, and who the hell are these people? Yeah, so remember at the start of the Season 1 introduction bit where I said that the season follows one Takeru Yamato? Well, I meant that literally and not in a posh English way, because Season 3 introduces the Yatsurugi multiverse, baby! Every so often Yatsurugi decides to soft reboot itself, with different actors, hell even sometimes the same actor, playing a character of the same name, but with completely different personalities, backstories, forms of the heroes they're merged with, etc. For example, the Season 3 Takeru is a band member with Mari, who in this universe is his sister and not just a friend, and newly introduced character Kaito Shishida. Another major difference is that Takeru acquired the Yatsurugi powers prior to the series, and tries to hide the fact that he's Yatsurugi from people, as opposed to the Takeru of the first 2 seasons. With this in mind, it means that despite what you may think when seeing each season has a numerical order, you can pick out a random one of the seasons, and there's a good chance it'll be a completely new story, with only consistent things throughout being the main characters' names, the presence of Yatsurugi and other heroes like him, and the ending theme song being the same every time. Of course this isn't always the case, as we've established with Season 1 and 2, so here's a list of every continuity restart so it's easier for you. Oh yeah, the plot of Season 3 shit. Basically, a yokai-themed empire called Doron is looking to gather people's negative emotions in order to revive their fallen leader, with its main difference being the character interactions and the introduction of a new hero to the Yatsurugi mythos that I'm unfortunately going to have to spoil directly, that being Gaion. This series is quite the doozy, being a full 50-episode show, However, each episode is only 10 minutes this time, which helps. The end of Season 3 leads into the Yatsurugi movie, the one and only multi-Yatsurugi crossover, followed on by a solo Gaion feature-length movie and 3 separate Gaiden movies before finally getting to Season 4. Another continuity reset, with Season 5 being a direct follow-up to that. Seasons 6 and 7 are a similar situation, being notable for having the most amount of heroes out of all the seasons, with Season 7 even introducing a new form of Yatsurugi that is unironically one of the greatest tokusatsu suits I've ever seen, and I'm not even being biased, it's just amazing. Season 8 is yet another reset, with its standout feature being its direct connection to a preschool otaku show called Munching Veggie World, with its main character from that show, Tomotaro, being present throughout the entire thing. Season 9 is again a reset, with the season having 2 Yatsurugis, both called Takeru Yamato, but spelt with different scripts, one being human and another being a doll that becomes human-like when it's needed to become Yatsurugi. Cool. The success of this franchise has led to many amazing things. Amongst the various collabs with other local heroes and television adverts with the Yatsurugi heroes, there have been other shows that the company has made, the primary one being Raiden Maru, a separate brand that now has 5 mainline seasons, ranging from 4 to 12 episodes each, along with some web series extras. The other shows they've done are the likes of Triple Lancer and Justy Wind, 2 Sentai-like shows with all female rangers, the aforementioned Veggie World show that too has multiple seasons, and the most recent one, Ginga Seija, another Sentai-inspired show with the focus almost exclusively on the Pink Ranger of the team that came out just last year. In addition to these projects, Yatsudama has directly collaborated with other local hero companies more directly, namely in the feature-length movie Heroes Unite, which combines the casts of Yatsurugi Seasons 6 and 7 with the casts of 2 other shows, Ninja Reppu and Trio, which by the way is another local hero show that I recommend. As well as this, there have been shows made by them that were made as mascots and promotions for the work of other local businesses, with them having a lot of intertextual elements. These are Hirano Great in partnership with Hirano's Shoji Company, a vending machine maintenance group, and I couldn't make that up if I tried, 2 seasons of Kairun, a name that I am not artificially extending to be funny. The official translation of this name has 7 U's in it, made for Kurohime, a waste sorting company, and features Best Boy Fangak in it, and 2 seasons of Shell Brave, made for Shelter Japan. These heroes, alongside a newly introduced one, would then later form their own team, Brave Force, which too got its own show, and would later show up in the mainline Yatsurugi shows. The Brave Force show combined a load of villains from previous shows into one group of evildoers for us as well, which soon led to the single greatest thing I have ever experienced. A legitimate, unironic, boy band made up of villains from various Yatsudama shows. I'm not even bullshitting here, but this is the single greatest thing ever. Nothing can top it. They do live shows and have 5 singles out that you can listen to right now, and please do, they're all bangers. Ultimately, the various collaborations with other local hero properties would lead to the creation of the Japan Local Hero Show, an annual event where local heroes from all across the country come together to represent their area, perform in live shows and just chill. Which, I mean, I really want to go there so bad. With this event being such a success, the ultimate collab was then made. A full-length original movie, the Japan Local Hero Battle, in which casts of various local hero shows come together to defeat various villains, leading to the final battle of all final battles. It is glorious. What's sad is I could name probably about half of the characters in this frame. I can understand though, from looking at what I've chosen to show you on screen and what you've been hearing me say, that you still might not think this show is for you. And I admit, it can look cheap by comparison, but what I think sells this show to me and the other people I've shown it to the most is its pure passion and charm. Yes, the story isn't the most profound piece of art. Yes, the suits look cheap by comparison to its contemporaries. Yes, the characters aren't as fleshed out as other Toku characters are. But you can just tell from what I've been putting on the screen for you that this show was made from a place of love. A love for older Showa-styled storytelling and aesthetics. A love for Heisei-era expansion, lore and effects standards. A love for the tokusatsu medium as a whole. Plus it became the forefather for a new generation of local hero toku, showing that even with the lower budgets, more restricted airings, and competition from the bigger established names, you can still make something that inspires, excites, and shows your passion, even if you know it won't bring you that much in return. For being the pinnacle of what non-mainstream toku can be, and for doing it so well, is why I love this franchise. And all of us like it. So please, I beg you, give this show a chance. I promise you will not regret it. If anything I've said has convinced you to give this series a go, and I genuinely hope it has, how can you watch it right now? Well, one option is Yatsudama's official YouTube channel, where they have every episode of seasons 1 to 8 of Yatsurugi in full HD, including all the guidance and movies, all with, I shit you not, English official subtitles. Yeah. Shame 95% of them are privated, and they only unprivate them very rarely. Seriously, I had to wait a whole 3 years for when they last became unprivated, no joke. So, since that's very unreliable, what are your other options? Well, there's this handy Facebook page who have subtitled all of seasons 1 to 4 for you, which is pretty cool. Despite them being exactly the same as the official subtitles, including some missed timings and the missing lines that are present in the official YouTube videos. But hey, that's the best you got. As far as season 5 onwards, well, you're in luck, as I have all the episodes of seasons 5 to 8, along with one of the guidance, the Yatsurugi movie, and the Guy-on Solo movie, as RAWs. But hey, I'm sure they could be of use to you, so if you want them, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a Google Drive folder for you. And hey, you can watch and download them at your leisure, or use it for fan subs, which would be nice if you could. If I make it, I'll link it in the description, along with that Facebook page with seasons 1 to 4 on it. Season 9 I can't help you with though, I've only got episode 1 of it, and that's already on YouTube, so aside from that, that's about all for this probably not very brief introduction to Houjin Yatsurugi, and indeed Yatsurugi Damashii as a company. I don't normally ask for this, but please share this video around if you know people who'd potentially be interested as well, as I genuinely want to see this brand get more recognition since I honestly think it deserves it. As I say, I hope this video can convince you to give this gem a chance and see what I see in it. I won't keep you here anymore, so just thanks for watching, and please spread the word of Yatsurugi. Have a nice forget me old cobber.